I did the Philippines in the full 14-day visa-free period, but if I had only 7 days, I would plan it differently now because once you have done it, you know exactly what you cannot miss and what quietly eats your budget. Hi, I'm Pragya. Welcome to my channel Khao Local Ghumo Global, where we explore new ways of living through travel, food, and local stories. In this video, I am sharing why the Philippines turned into my best trip of 2025. Even without heavy planning or big expectations, I will also tell you what I would change if I had only 7 days, what truly worth your time, and what most travelers don't realize is actually eating up your budget. So watch this video till the end to gather the information as much as possible. And now rock and roll. Before we plan 7 days smartly, you need to understand how this country is actually spread out. The Philippines is in Southeast Asia and it is an island-heavy country with over 7,000 islands. On the map, it looks compact, but in real life, moving between places takes time, money, and flights, and that's where most people mess up their plans. Travelers usually enter via Manila or Cebu. Manila is the main international hub, but for a 7-day trip, Cebu makes more sense. It saves time, cuts internal flights, and gives easier access to nearby islands. The country is English-speaking, very backpackers-friendly, and you will notice a strong Spanish influence in food, architecture, and local culture. Once you understand this layout, planning becomes 10x easier. Philippines was my best trip of 2025. Honestly, I took the biggest risk by flying to this country in July, peak off season with heavy rains, but that decision changed everything. Prices were almost 2 to 3x cheaper than peak season, and surprisingly, I did not have to cancel or compromise single plan. In fact, I did not even plan much. I booked domestic flights, hostels, and activities impromptu, avoiding cancellation stress completely. The people were warm, the food was comforting, and activities were unreal. And as a July 1 water baby, the ocean felt like home. My absolute highlight of 2025 happened here, a 3-day boat expedition from Coron to El Nido, and yes, I did it on my birthday. That experience made me realize that boat expeditions are now my favorite island activity, something I want to do it again and again, starting small and slowly going longer. With no pressure, no expectations, and no overthinking, the Philippines became one of the smoothest solo international trips of my life. If I had just 7 days in the Philippines, I would do it differently, and I definitely would not try to do everything Instagram tells you to do. I would start by flying into Cebu. It is practical, well connected, and perfect for a short trip. From there, I would head to Malbol because swimming with millions of sardines is one of those experiences that actually live up to the hype. The next morning would be Kawasan Canyoneering, and the same day I would return to Cebu by bus and catch flight to Coron. Yes, it is a long day, but this is where the trip shifts. Days 4 to 6 would be non-negotiable, a Coron to El Nido boat expedition. Remote islands, snorkeling, slow mornings, and zero rush. This is not an activity, it's like an experience. I would spend my last full day exploring El Nido, keeping it light, and travel via El Nido to either Cebu or Manila, whichever is cheaper or easier. Nothing here felt overrated to me, and honestly, nothing here is skippable. And you know what actually ate my budget in the Philippines? This part, no one wants you. The biggest budget killer was internal flights. The Philippines looked compact on the map, but in reality, flying is unavoidable. I took 2 domestic flights, booked impromptu, and tickets prices were actually reasonable. The catch was the luggage limit. Most standard fares include only 7 kg of cabin bag. I was carrying around 12 kg, and upgrading the luggage cost almost double the ticket price. You take Cebu Pacific, Philippine Airlines, AirAsia, all with the same rules. I met long-term backpackers. They shipped extra luggage back home and traveled only with the cabin bags. The second expense was island tours and activities. There's very little room for negotiation. In person, you might save 100 to 500 pesos, but mostly you pay the price. Between the two, the only thing I truly regret paying extra for, those internal flight luggage cost. And here is what I actually spent on my 14-day Philippines trip. Stays were surprisingly light on the pocket and hostel came to around 8,000 rupees for the full 2 weeks. Food was another 8,000, nothing fancy but very satisfying. Internal flights were unavoidable and I spent roughly around 14,000 flying between islands. Local transport added up to barely 1,500 rupees and the activities cost me around 40,000 rupees and honestly, zero regrets. So overall, this 14-day trip cost me roughly around 70,000 to 75,000. 2025 gave me many journeys, but this one stayed with me. It felt light, it felt honest, and it felt exactly right for who I was at that time. Some days were slow, some were wild, and some were just me sitting by the water doing nothing, and I love that version of travel. If you are planning 2026 and wondering where to go without overthinking, without burning pocket, without pressure, this country deserves a spot on your list. And if you want to go deeper into itineraries, food scenes, mistakes, budgets, everything is already there on my channel from this trip. I've also linked in my description offline guide and a few travel essentials that actually helped me. If you need them, they are in the description. For any questions or suggestions, do write to me in the comment section, or also you can reach out to me on my Instagram handle. It's called Khao Local Kumo Global. This is me, Pragya Sharma, exploring new ways of living, signing off. You see me in my next release. Until then, travel safely, stay curious and explore the world with care. Bye. Namaste.